going to be getting the right news. So I watch as many of those like hearings and I watch as many of those things as I can in full length. I watch a lot of what foreign powers say about the US, dubbed in English, as I can, because if you're not getting that perspective, it's going to be very hard to understand the people that are trying to take your livelihood, right? If you really believe that Putin is the threat to democracy, whatever it was, you kind of want to know what he's saying. Same with Xi Jinping, same what they're saying in the Chinese parliament. And so if you guys ever want to realize how dangerous of a position America's in, um, go watch what they say in the Chinese parliament, go and see what they say in the Iranian parliament, and then go see what they say in the Russian parliament. Now, Russian is honestly one of the most, say, straightforward. Like they just have nationalistic interests. They want to keep the Russian ideal, whatever, whatever. But if you go watch the other countries, it's a lot of anti-American stuff. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. If you're watching this on YouTube, or welcome if this is your first time. Welcome back to another episode of I Told You So. Let's break this down real quick. So this is the live stream from yesterday. This is where the trade was originally called. Let's go theater view. And then we'll go to the current chart right here. I got all these extra levels here, so let me just knock some of these off. Very straightforward stuff, right? This wasn't here. Pretty good, right? Not bad. Pretty damn accurate. Put a one in the chat if this is clear. We can move on from this. But this is from the live stream yesterday where the trade was called out to the last decimal point. Even showed the folks on Zoom here earlier. There was two trade ideas yesterday. One of them was a retest of this previous local structure. That did not even reject. It just kind of bled right through and closed under. So there was no trade. There was no recovery back above. So that trade was a dud. And then that price says 17,647.6. So 647.6. 647.6. And over here, this is what ended up happening. We had this beautiful retracement down. You zoom out now. With this beautiful retracement down to 647.6, down to that decimal spot with a beautiful wick entry. And now we're headed up to target. Okay. So put a one in the chat if this makes sense. And of course, if you guys want to learn this strategy and how to get pinpoint entries, make sure to check out the NASDAQ masterclass in the link below. chartaddictsfx.com. Go to live classes right here, and then make sure to register for your spot so you can learn this strategy. Okay? Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Okay. We can get rid of this. We're going to go through some news here, give you guys some updates on what's happening in markets, explain some of the implications of this global stock market collapse, even though we've already covered this in detail on Monday's stream, which is probably one of the best streams that we've done. Yesterday's stream was electric. I know I got a little bit too carried away, but guys, I was hyped. It was my birthday, and I appreciate all the birthday wishes. It meant a lot to me. But today we're going to keep it a little bit more streamlined. That's a lie, right? I'm probably going to start wilding out. Give me 10 minutes to warm up, right? Couple YouTube comments start getting thrown out, and all of a sudden, I'll just start speaking the truth. So let's actually talk about three very important topics that are kind of the mainstream impact right now. We already talked about the bigger picture. So when it comes to economics, the global business cycle, the global, how do I say this? So the economic cycle that we follow that tells us what part of, are we in a recession? Are we in a healthy expansion of the business cycle? Or are we in this like stagnation part of the business cycle? Typically, it's referred to as the business cycle. And so the NBER in America, the National Bureau of Economic Research, they released that data to show us basically where are we in relation to a recession. Now, globally, we want to look at liquidity. How much money is moving around? Is everybody kind of, feeling the pressure and everyone's kind of spending cheaply? And when I say everyone, I'm not talking about people at home buying stuff for their kids. I'm referring to central banks and large scale institutions. Are they moving money around, lending? Are they doing currency swaps? Or do they have swap lines open? Do they have like, are they buying bonds? Like, what is the activity right now and how much money is moving around? So, global liquidity, one of the most important metrics for us to watch, but that's such a lagging. I want to say it's even lagging. It is. There are some metrics that we can watch to give us a leading indication of what is going to happen. And I showed you guys one of those examples 2 days ago. The M2 money supply jumped by about a couple $1 trillion. Global M2. That means trillions of dollars of money was introduced into the M2 money supply, but it hasn't found its way into markets yet because clearly the markets are still kind of at a dip. So eventually that money is going to find its way into the markets, probably in September, probably around the rate cuts, maybe a bit after. And so those are big picture plays that'll give us the directional bias for which way the stock market is going to go. But then we have these smaller sort of like global events. We can say what happened between Israel, Palestine. We can say what happened between Ukraine, Russia. Those tend to cause uncertainty, just general uncertainty. It's not even about market, specifically market related, but it's just general uncertainty about the future of the world. And so people typically, but again, when I say people, I mean large scale financial institutions and banks typically move their money over to safe haven assets. So safe haven assets are things that are typically not subject to the volatility the same way that high sensitivity assets are, like stocks or crypto, where any bad news could basically shock the market. And so gold has typically been one of those safe haven assets because you don't really buy gold to make money. You buy gold so that your money is there and you can guarantee that you won't lose money. All right, because it's gold is kind of inflation resistant because it's decently limited supply, but also it's priced in dollars. And so the more that inflation goes up, the more that gold's price goes up. And that's why gold's price will eventually hit 5,000, but not because gold is worth 5,000, but because we've inflated the currency or debased the currency that much. So anyways, just to get on that main point, when institutions are scared, they go to safe havens versus risk assets. Those are the two categories. There are obviously in between categories, but those are the mains. Right now, I believe that the markets are forward looking to the point where they see Jerome Powell about to cut rates. They see the global liquidity cycle starting to pick up. They see the M2 money supply rising. They see the unemployment number last week come out at 4.3%, which was a giant red flag to everybody that signals a recession essentially. And so now we have this expectation. So why is a recession going to be good for stocks, Roy? Because now there's the expectation that the Fed is going to cut rates and maybe even print a little bit of money, maybe bail out some banks. So if that much money is going to find its way into the system, the institutions want to get in early. They want to get in at these discounted prices and then allow retail to do the rest of the work for them. Make sense? Cool. All right. Okay. But this was honestly one of the most accurate trades of the year. I don't see a lot of comments on YouTube. Guys, put something in the chat if you're awake, if you're alive. There's a lot of people just drooling on their computer, just watching this. Let me know if you're alive. If everybody here is asleep, then we'll just like play some music or something. I'll just go through some charts or whatever it is. But like, if you guys want some fun, it'll be a lot easier for me. Trust me. I'll just keep the sauce for the members. Christine, you ain't got a comment on YouTube. I'm trying to see if the YouTube is alive so I can get an accurate gauge of which one has more activity. So let them, let them sit in that whatever the fuck is going on there. And I'm probably gonna assume there's a lag. You said we hear LOL. I couldn't tell. 3 comments in the chat. I'm sitting there thinking that there's nobody on the call. You said you don't care about us. That's true. You got to care about you. People, what are we doing here? And honestly, that's a lie. Because if I didn't care about y'all, why the fuck would I be here? Why would I be doing this every morning? So clearly the actions are different than what I say. But what I'm saying is I don't give a fuck. But I think my actions speak differently. But I don't know. Kevin, keep your eyes on the road, bro. The only people that I don't want to hear from is if you're gonna like lose your job for replying, or if you're driving or doing something dangerous, bro. Like let everybody else answer for fuck's sake. I ain't trying to be responsible for none. And I speak Spanglish. Everybody has access to come take the master class and come join the VIP chat, right? You're acting like I kicked you guys out into the cold. Send the link to join the Discord if there's somebody on the team here. If there's somebody on the team here, help them out. Help them out. Help them out. The link is in the description. The only way to get into the VIP chat right now is to take the NASDAQ masterclass. Why? Because we only want informed people in this chat. I don't want to wake up with a bunch of opinions that frankly are just wrong, or a bunch of advice is being given to other new traders or whatever that frankly is just wrong. I get into the VIP chats every morning now, and it's basically like, man, some days I just go Christmas shopping for markups. I'm just going around. I say, ooh, Max posted one. Ooh, Bobby posted this. Mike got this. Christine posted one. Ooh, Janae got this one. Josh posted his markup. Jensen's got his markup. I'm looking like this is like going to this. I was gonna say Walmart. This is like going to Louis Vuitton. No, this is like Willy Wonka's factory. I don't even have a sweet tooth, but like y'all get the drill. Okay, so we're at a selling zone. We're about 2.5 hours removed from the market open. We've been consolidating here. It looks like all morning. Interesting. Very interesting. Oh my God. There's no way they're going to make it this easy. There's just no way. Have we ever known the market to be this generous? All right, so market's going to sell off from here. And then we got to see how it reacts to this level. But I believe that we're going to break through the 61 and then head to the upside. Somebody said the other day, the 50? Whoever said 50 the other day, you're onto something. Because the 886 from the smaller time frame impulse lines up directly with the 50. If I have to take a guess. Oh my God. Oh, you can't even make this up. I mean, somebody could. You know, we see all the information out there on the internet about trading, but I couldn't make this up. It's too good to be true. Let's say tracement down, up. This would be trade one. So trade one would just be a retest of this impulse, basically from the London session lows. Double check here. Oh no, London session's down here. Interesting. So I'd say we have a scalp opportunity here, and then we have a higher time frame trade idea right here. That's a lot better because then the stop loss has to be below the swing. And let me just do some little extension magic right here. 3.2 to 1 R on that trade. Not bad. Can we get rid of this? What is this level? Huh. Okay. So yeah, this one will be a scalp. This one will be a longer or higher time frame trade idea. And we'll go through these for VIP members as soon as we hop off this live stream. Y'all get the drill. A1 said, I took the class. How did I get in the Discord? If did you okay. So if you go to your program tab right here, let me just log in real quick. Okay. Okay. So if you go to your this tab over here on the right and go to my programs, Okay. If you've completed the classes, you'll see them right here. So you can just view the program. Okay. And so at the very end, once you've finished all the days, okay, there was a final check-in where you're supposed to schedule a one-on-one call with one of the coaches and then take your final exam. If you did both of those things, there'd be a tab at the very bottom that says join the Discord, and then that will give you access. It's not publicly available on the website because obviously it's only open to masterclass students. And so you have to access it through the programs page. Otherwise, you can't see it. Let me see if I can find it right here. Yeah. So if you finish the whole thing, you get 30 days for free. And then if you want to renew, you can renew for only 99 a month, which gives you access to all the future masterclasses and more. A lot of people are expecting this breakout right now. I honestly don't see a breakout without a retracement first. So watch and learn, people. Like, I'm not a short seller, but if I was, I'd already be in. So instead, because I'm not short selling, I'm just going to wait for this retracement. And just to kind of like flex the strategy a little bit for some of you guys that are on the fence about joining the masterclass, let me just go ahead and just show you some accuracy. This is what the short would look like. All right, now I'm not taking this short. Just a heads up, you guys know me. I'm usually never on the short side of the market because I know better than to sell stocks, right? Or to short stocks. Um, but the strategy works regardless. That's how good it is. And now a lot of you guys would be asking yourself, well, Roy, if it works that much and you trust it this much, why wouldn't you take the short side of the trades? Because if I look at my own results, not just the results of the technical system, but my personal results, I always make money trading with the trend, and I always give back money trading against the trend. And with that very simple observation, I just made a choice. I'm like, well, I'm just not gonna trade against the overall higher time frame trend anymore. And it worked. Stop losing money. Well, I didn't stop losing money, but I started giving back my profits. You'll still lose some trades. This week wasn't the best, let's just be honest. But it only takes one trade to get back in game. It only takes one good trade. And I don't mean one good trade like over leveraging. And I don't mean back in game like you're going to recover all your losses. I mean back in game mentally to get back and do what you need to do to recover your account in a responsible way. It only takes one good trade at a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 to remind you that, yes, you may have had a string of losses, but it only takes one good position to get you back. And so you start to convince yourself that it's the end of the world and everything's falling apart. And then you'd get one good trade. I have a sell waiting at your yellow highlighted area. It's a 127 extension from the previous trade. I could see that for sure. I was going off of this, Christine. And so TP1 is right here. So we haven't even, like, we did have a little blimp, but we haven't corrected to TP1, which we don't necessarily need to. If the market's extremely bullish and we just continue to break, then yeah, we're going to hit that extension, and then it's going to come back for the continuation model right here. You get what I'm trying to say? So those are the two options. Let this thing come back to the entry. And just like I said the other day, when we were looking at this original trade, or excuse me, this original trade, I told you guys, I'm pretty sure I said something like, it didn't hit my buy zone, and that's fine because if it doesn't hit my buy zone, then the market's wrong, not me. I was being facetious and I was just like I was messing around, but that really is how I feel about this, which is if it ain't come back and retest my zones, it doesn't mean it's not going to, it just means it's just not right now, which is cool. But that's a good eye. Using the extension level right there in the way that you used it is incredible work. Because if you look at this previous thing, this previous kind of motion here, this one went to the 188.6 extension. But if you look at the fib from the previous trade and you look at that extension level, let me just show you this. I need the 1.27. Why do I keep losing the 1.27? Oh, I guess it was 1.5. What is happening here? Oh, I just had my fibs drawn wrong. Okay. I just measured this bearish move down. It broke right above that fib, hit the 161 extension, and then came all the way back down. No continuation, right? Because we ran right through continuation one, continuation two, and then we closed below the lows. I would have taken a buy entry here, and then off of one candle, as soon as we filled this area, I'd have been out. I know it's a little bit too complex, but I mean, it's markets. Sometimes you got to get specific. Okay. Do you enter trades based off candlestick patterns or based off price levels? Uh, Mostly price levels, but without a rejection or without at least some kind of confirmation from the market, I don't usually just enter. Sometimes if the setup already, if the model is already in play and I've gotten enough confirmations that my strategy is working before it even gets to my entry, then I'll enter impulsively. I don't say impulsively, but I will take an impulsive entry as opposed to waiting for more and more and more confirmations. Because the reality is, with some of these trades, if you wanted to wait for a confirmation here, you would have missed that entry. Okay. And what's the big deal? You get the wick or the body, it matters. Imagine that we just took the trade exactly where it is now. Okay. The difference between this trade being a 1.6 to 1 and then you getting a little bit of a late entry, 1.1 to 1 or 1.2 to 1. That's significantly less, right? So that's the difference between $16,000 and $11,000. Pretty big deal just for waiting for a little rejection. So sometimes when you have a strategy that is very clear and the market has already given you signs that your system is working, then you can trust and take an impulsive entry using your own discretion. What do you guys think? Should I paper trade this for fun? I don't want to confuse anybody. Would you guys be able to keep this in your mind if I paper trade this, but realize that I'm not going to take a short on this in a live account because I don't short, but I just want to do this for fun just to kind of prove the strategy works. Are you guys okay with that? Folks are going to get on and be like, Roy's selling, Roy's selling. No, 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 no. It's a lie. It's fake news. It's a paper trade. All right. Well, instead of all that, you know what? Let's just go through some fundamentals. I'll put my price alerts. No need to do all that. Serious question. How'd you get so accurate on that price, though? Need the insider source of yours. It's called the NASDAQ Masterclass. Bro, every morning I get on here and tell you guys, hey, you guys know the strategy that we trade every morning and that like crushes it. You guys can learn it for yourself. Oh, and it's the last one we're ever doing. So if you don't get in, you're never gonna learn this strategy. And then all of a sudden people are like, yo, how do you get so, how do I do this? How did he do it? How did he get it done? I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to help, but people don't want to listen. You can bring a horse to water, folks, but you can't make him drink. That's all I know. All right, let's take a tour around the world and see what's happening. So, to give you guys a rundown of what's happening in the UK, I'm going to give you my perspective on this in the least biased way possible. We already have price alerts here. Anything happening anywhere else? Oh my, the accuracy, the accuracy, the accuracy. No, I'm going to do a whole, after we explain what's happening in the UK, I'm going to do a whole before and afters showing you guys the receipts of every single trade, that we've been calling. Yo, 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 yo. Did USD JPY really do this? Did UJ really respect the super secret zone? Undefeated, undisputed, best in the world, best strategy hands down, even for Forex? Members, what do you think? Is this certified? Is this legit? Oh my, oh my. Sorry, people. Sometimes I look in the mirror, I just impress myself. Sometimes Sometimes I look at some of these trades and I look at my trading history sometimes. I go back on the charts and I plant them when I'm back testing. And sometimes I even scare myself. I say, wow, did I do that? Steve Urkel reference. Except the winds ain't low. It's a Kanye reference. Free Rapture Day is near. Happy ending message. FFIE Rapture Day. FFIE. Futures. What? That sounds so familiar. Faraday Future Intelligent Electric? No. Yeah, bro, now you're confusing me, so shut up. All right? How about that? No, I thought he got me. I was like, wait, I thought I got stumped. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Is that a new bank term lending program? Did I miss it? He's talking about the Rapture, bro. Okay. I'm gonna sign up for the class tonight. Looking forward to it. Radioactive 7. I'm gonna be honest with you, the best decision you'll ever make for your life. And I can't wait for you to take the class and to look back and be like, dude, I don't know why I waited so long. And I understand why people wait so long. Like, there's a lot going on in the world, right? There's a lot going on in your life. Sometimes, maybe you've taken a bunch of courses in the past and just did not produce the results. You're still not profitable. And you're like, you know what? I'm not in a position right now to be putting in this money to this and to be doing this because it's just not the right time or whatever. But then you're still trying to trade. And the harsh reality is that I would have been so much more successful had I sought help sooner. Not because like I'm grateful I went through the journey because now I can provide value to you guys. I'm glad I went through the fire. But let me be completely honest. I had to unlearn a lot of bad habits. And so going out and there's still a process of getting consistent after you learn something. That's really why I try to urge folks to do something sooner rather than later, whatever it is. If you wanted to play the piano, best time to start was probably 5 years ago. Second best time is today. Because 5 years from now, you're either gonna be able to play the piano or you're not. 6 months from now, you're either gonna be funded and have multiple payouts under your belt, or you're not. And how much is it gonna cost you to keep funding accounts or to keep blowing funded accounts until you learn something that works? So that's my only message is save yourself the money, the time, the mental stress, and the permanent emotional damage of just playing trial and error with trading. And instead get something that works and then use your energy to be consistent, which is its own full-time job. All right. So let's talk about what's happening in the UK, and then we'll go through and do those the before and afters, because shit's just been too accurate. So in the UK, and I do have to start back, so guys, bear with me here for a second. We're not going to keep pretending like we're stupid and that the media can just tell us like all the problems that just boiled over and the whole country's on fire happened because of one instance that happened a week ago. I think that is so disingenuous. It's the same thing that happened, and I know we're about to be 8 months or 9 months removed from the Israel situation, but October 7th was the same exact deal. It's like we are not going to sit here and pretend like all of it started last week. That's very naive. And so in the UK, what's been happening is there's been an immigration crisis for a while, and almost every prime minister in the past, probably 5 prime ministers, has ran under the premise of reducing illegal immigration down to the tens of thousands, as opposed to the damn near millions that they've had since. So there's already been an influx. Brexit was sort of the one shot that Great Britain had to decouple from Europe, all those shitty policies that are happening over there, and to try to get their country on track by having their own policies. That didn't work. For years, the British people have been asking for sensible immigration policies and have been completely ignored. At the same time, there has been a rise in crime, specifically related to, let's just call it illegal migrants. Now, I know what people will say, everyone does crime. Let's look at proportionality, proportion of the population versus proportion of the crime. And you'll realize that, yes, people who are native to a country have every right to be upset when you have a non-native population that is conducting a disproportionate amount of the crime, especially against children and heinous things. And then on top of that, when the native population voices concerns to the elected class, and the elected class does nothing, doesn't close the borders, minimizes the complaints, starts locking people up in jail for Facebook posts. Did you guys see this? People went to jail for putting up Facebook posts about the riots and about things like this. So when you try to silence folks that who have genuine concerns and try to just write them off as, what did they say in the news thing? They said far right, right? Whenever you just want to discredit a whole thing, you have to just say far right, or far left. This is exactly how every movement gets hijacked. Every movement. BLM got hijacked the same way. I was in Richmond, Virginia, watching. This was kind of one of the hearts after Minnesota, one of the hearts of a lot of the stuff that was happening. Genuine people with genuine concerns hit the streets first, voicing very genuine and sensible solutions and sensible complaints, doing it in an angry way, but it's typically in a very productive way. And then you have degenerates come and hijack that entire movement, and then the media and the other side will be able to use those few extremists in the group to discredit the entire movement from start to finish, and then basically write you off as an extreme, or write you off as dangerous, or as a threat to democracy, whatever the key buzzword is. You guys understand how this works? So this happens in Middle East countries all the time. You'll have a protest against the government. They'll send their own militias in there. Their own militias will sort of like incite some violence. Then violence will break out. And then it's a chance for the government to step in and impose further regulations, restrictions, and oversight over the people. Basically take away more freedoms, because people will always trade freedom and privacy for security. That's what happened with the Patriot Act in 9/11. So anyways, native population very upset. Political class absolutely out of touch with the population. Inflation crisis through the roof. People can't afford damn near anything. Employment's not doing well. Crime rates are absolutely skyrocketing in some of the main cities in the UK. And people have genuine concerns. And then you have some extremists in the groups on both fronts that just basically turned it violent, and then it just erupted into everywhere in the country. It looked like to the native population that the government was siding with illegal migrants, and then locking up the native population for voicing their concerns. And when you try to silence somebody, they are going to what was that, Jordan Peterson? Is like when you tell someone they can't speak, they're gonna shout. When you tell someone they can't shout, they're gonna take the streets, or something like that. So if you tell somebody they can't say something, they're gonna scream. And if you tell somebody they can't scream, they're gonna get violent. And this is how we're seeing this manifest. The strategy is great and very easy to apply. It's the psychological part what takes time to enforce. That's my experience. Alfonso, I appreciate the insight, and that's the same with any strategy in trading. Learning a technical system shouldn't take you more than a couple weeks, especially if you're serious about the back testing, because it clicks. The psychological part, especially if you've been trading for years, there's a lot that you're gonna have to unlearn. And so it's not about, you're never gonna like figure it out. This is what people don't understand. When you're learning something, you can figure it out, right? Because there's an end game to understanding. The thing about psychology is it's a practice. It's not a destination. It is a practice. And if you want to be a sharp Formula One racer, it's not like you're gonna like, go do some ayahuasca and then meditate, and then all of a sudden now you're sharp for life. But if you're not doing the mental exercises, if you're not mentally prepped, if you're not sleeping and you're showing up to practices or trainings, you're going 200 miles an hour into the wall, which is the equivalent of blowing your account. Okay, so you guys can put this one in your notes. Trading psychology and mindset is not a destination that you reach. Okay, it is an act that you have to commit to. It's a lifestyle that you have to commit to. It's an identity that you have to commit to. Losers have a losing mentality. Everything is wrong. One thing equals everything is wrong. Like one thing goes wrong and all of a sudden everything is fucked up and nothing's going to work and nothing. And I was there. But just as simply as you can go down that rabbit hole, you can very easily go up the other rabbit hole. So it could be worse. I'm very grateful for everything I have. Right? It's just one trade, and I understand my system, and I'm very confident in my ability to recoup this money, even if I did have a loss. I understand it's a normal part of my system. These thoughts start to override the negative thinking process, and over time, that becomes your default thinking state. And so if you don't practice that often, it's not going to become a default. It's not going to become like breathing. It's not going to become second nature. You're going to have to exercise energy and willpower every day to not fuck up. And one day, you're not going to have the energy or the willpower, and you will fuck up. That's why you cannot rely on your willpower alone to be successful at trading. You have to use the cheat code called building habits. That is the cheat code to getting stuff done. All right. So what's happening in the UK? is let's go and look at some updates. By the way, Elon and Trump are doing a sit down on X. I ain't never been so hyped for something in my life. That conversation alone could save democracy. I'm just gonna throw that out there. You guys are like, Roy, you're being extreme. You're being extreme. I get on here for an hour and a half every morning and explain to you what's happening around the world. And if you want to try and tell me that I'm not informed enough to tell you that this is a legitimate concern and that freedom of speech and all of these other rights are under attack and how they're using a lot of the instability to usher in new um, oversight regulations and freedom, basically things that take away freedoms. I do this for a living, people. I watch what's happening in the world and I keep my eye on it every single day. And I can promise you, when I say that that conversation could save democracy, I'm not being hyperbolic. When I say that Twitter helped save free speech, I'm being 100% serious. Because if you can't have an open conversation, then how the fuck are we ever going to know anything about anything? COVID, that 2 years was the most disturbing time for me because I trust my eyes over anybody else, over anybody telling me anything. If I see something and if I see the sky's blue and someone's like, oh, it's green, don't trust people, you're an idiot, you're this. And then 50 people are like, oh, you're an idiot, you're this. The sky's still fucking blue. I don't care how many people are saying anything. But for most people, they don't have that switch, right? It's like, oh, a few people tell you that you might be crazy and you get gaslit into basically like believing that your eyes are lying to you. I don't know how the fuck that works, right? It's 1984. It's Orwellian. Now Twitter comes along. Now we're able to have a discussion, and things that were all conspiracy theory, things that got us our first strike on YouTube was I said that clearly the virus came from the lab in China because like a pangolin didn't fuck a bat. We're not. I don't know how I didn't even pass biology, and I'm just tell you that much. And then I also just use some common sense. So like we're funding a coronavirus virology lab in Wuhan, right next to the area where the first patient zero came from. And then this coronavirus lab was doing gain of function research to basically amplify this coronavirus that was only for animals, but actually change one of the genetic elements to make it bounce from human to human so that they can create a cure for it. And you can't ask a question about any of that because that's racist. But a pangolin fucked a bat, and then that's how we got COVID. And like Chinese people were eating bats, which is like, what the fuck is happening, bro? Okay, so then we got Twitter, and then all the files came out, and clearly it came from the coronavirus lab, which was funded by Fauci and the NIH through his grants. Like, what the fuck? Not only was it true, it was the exact opposite, which is the people telling us it wasn't true. We're the ones funding the entire research and trying to cover their ass the whole time. Text messages got released in that Senate hearing with Fauci and a lot of the NIH folks that were under subpoena. And they showed the text messages of people trying to delete files and cover their ass and like letting people know, yo, pretty sure this came from our lab. And they're like, no, like run with the story. That's crazy. You understand me? People died. So many people died because of a couple people trying to cover their ass. All right. So when I say that that information would have never came out, just like the JFK, just like Epstein, just like all that bullshit would have never came out, had we not had a free speech platform. Fair enough. Whatever side of the political aisle you're on, can we at least agree that having an open forum where you can at least ask a legitimate question, and if you're wrong, people will correct you? Can we all agree that that is better for society, for democracy, and for us getting to a solution? Put a 1 if you agree, put a 2 if you actually don't agree. If you think Twitter does more harm than good. And I'd be interested in both sides. I have seen some wild shit on Twitter too, but the absence of a town square where you can express genuine concern about something that everybody sees, that you can validate that you're not crazy, that yeah, this is falling apart. I feel like that is very important for people feeling that they like folks have a voice. The converse, like people can acknowledge that this is a real thing. You're not just making it up. Because that's the whole media game. It's like, no, you're just making this up. It's all in your head. Yeah, okay. Susie. Like, imagine I'm letting somebody making 45K a year reading a teleprompter tell me that my eyes ain't telling me the truth. Baby, baby. I'm a day trader. My whole job is to take bullshit like yours and sift through it and be able to not get played by narratives and instead look at dynamics, which are mechanical functions. This is the best advice I ever got from Bob Elliott. Narratives are stories that people tell and they spread into sentiment. Dynamics are mechanical observations that you can put down, you can measure, you can quantify, and those are real. Okay. And so I look at reality. They're going to tell you that inflation is not up. I'm going to go do my own inflation research and I'm going to go track probably the 15 or 20 goods that I believe consumers spend the most money on, not that bullshit CPI basket. And through that, I'm going to get a pretty good idea that the things that people are spending money on every month, like regularly, have all gone up more than 10% or 15%. So the media can tell me and the government numbers can tell me, and they can all try and push a narrative that inflation's coming down. But if I look at the reality of how much I'm still paying at the grocery store, at the haircut place, at just on Uber, like just on everywhere I go, prices are still elevated, if not higher than they were 2 years ago. Okay. So trust your eyes, people, and become a very capable person. That way, you can't get played by, you just can't get played. All right. I'm going to take a little just for my own. All right. Got my alerts up. Let's talk about this. So, this is 4 hours ago, should be decently. This is the new woke times. All right, we'll get a different perspective from a few folks, okay? I'm not going to stay. We got Nader Ibrahim and Peter Robbins. After more than a week of sporadic far-right violence, it seemed to ease Wednesday night. Okay, so things are chilling out. Unconfirmed list of more than 30 target sites associated with the migration system, widely circulated online, summoned few would-be rioters, but drew heavy police presence and large crowds of protective counter-protesters. I'm assuming these are mosques. I'm assuming these are immigration offices. I'm assuming these, hopefully, are not consulates and embassies. Because attacking an embassy, you're going to jail for a long time for doing that. You understand? During the previous days, racist and anti-immigrant rioting had flared more than a dozen towns. See, this is why I can't even read the fucking article. Racist and anti-immigration rioting. Now, you guys know what I just said about the small contingent of every protest, legitimate protest that gets hijacked by an extremist group or by just wildly fanatical people, and then the media who are against whatever they're doing will use that small piece example and zoom in on that and then make that seem like the reality. How many people there were genuinely concerned about a little girl being killed and about the government not listening to their concerns and about rampant immigration to the country or illegal migration to the country that is undocumented? Like, you can't go to any country and go undocumented, at least any legitimate country, especially not the real Muslim countries. I go to Dubai and Saudi Arabia and Qatar without a passport. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? And so you had a large contingent of people that probably had genuine concerns, but they said racist and anti-immigrant rioting. Anti-immigrant. Now, let me explain to you guys the difference between someone who immigrates somewhere. So I'm an immigrant to America. We went through the legal process, and immigration has a legitimate legal structure and has a legitimate benefit to every country because you can recruit from outside your own country for the best. Look at all the CEOs of the tech companies now. It's a whole lot of Indian, right? We recruited just like a great basketball team, found the best. So immigration has a purpose. Now, illegal migration is the act of crossing borders without any legitimate documentation, without going through any legal process, and without any assimilation into the culture at all, or any attempt to assimilate into the culture. Okay? That destabilizes a society. Now you're like, well, Roy, how does that destabilize a society? Let me explain to you guys a very simple concept about diversity, right? So if you're going to be building a house, here's how diversity is supposed to work. You want people that have different skill sets to build this house, regardless of gender, race. I don't give a fuck if it's blue, if it's green. You need a carpenter. You need welders. You need electricians. You need somebody who can do roofing. You need someone who can do scaffolding. You need somebody who can do all these different things. Cement. That's diversity. Diversity of skills, diversity of attributes. Maybe somebody has soft skills. You can put them there to basically motivate the team. Everyone has a role, but you need diversity in terms of the productive function of each person. Now, imagine you're trying to build a house and you got 8 people trying to build 8 different types of house, right? You're all working on, everyone's trying to build eight different houses. You want to build a square one, this guy's building a circle one, and you're all just working on different things. Oh, and you don't no one speaks the same language. Is the house gonna be structurally sound? Logically, yes or no? That's the difference, is that immigration requires a certain sense of assimilation. When I came to America, I didn't try to make my class start speaking Arabic or French because I couldn't speak English. I took the extra classes, spent every day after school, did all that stuff to learn English because that's how I'm going to be able to function in this country. And now look at me. I'm doing backflips with this English live off the dome. Okay? I'm creating jobs in this country. I am creating opportunity. We're changing thousands and thousands of lives with these events, with the classes that we do, with these live streams. Okay, so that is how it's supposed to work. Now, if I came here and I'm like, no, everyone's got to speak my language, you got to learn whatever language I'm speaking. I don't have to, that it's just never going to work out. Now, that's not really the main issue, but I feel like this article is just cap already. New Woke Times, BBC, and The Guardian. These three right here are about as bad as you can get if you want to talk about mainstream news sources, especially the BBC. Then you got The Guardian. God help us. The Guardian. Like, it's such a fucked up name. The Guardian's supposed to be an angel. How the fuck is an angel just sitting on my shoulder lying all day with some fucked up views, supporting, I don't know, man. They're supporting some wild shit. The Mirror, God help. CNN, Al Jazeera, bro. Elon Musk comments on the UK riots. Like, who gives a fuck, bro? But he's not even British. I think like the left is trying to use Elon Musk as this far right sort of figurehead, and so they'll be like, "Oh, Elon Musk said this about the riots. He supports them," and then they'll just be able to again use that to inflame. Yeah, Mike says divide and conquer tactics. Exactly. Well, you're all poor. None of you can pay rent. None of you can pay at the grocery store. Your kids can't afford to go to college. But somehow, yeah, somehow you're beefing with each other. Nice. Good call, right? Not fucking Mayorkas who left the border open. Definitely not his fault. Not Kamala Harris. The borders are. Not her fault. Let's elect her president, actually, right? Let's keep fighting with each other and then not only not hold people accountable whose actual responsibility it was to secure these things, let's actually put them in the highest position of power, not only in the land, in the world. Fam, voting for Kamala Harris is the equivalent of, how do I? No, I'm not gonna get, it's not gonna go well. But yeah, we gotta be realistic here. Like, how do you have the worst failure at your job as the responsibility for the border, and then you let 20 million people into the country? And then the next 9/11 will probably happen from the past 2 years of illegal migration because we don't know who they are, where they are, what they came here for, or what their intentions are, how long they're staying, what crimes they've committed, what rap sheet they have. We don't fucking know. Could be all great people. But you want to know what's crazy? We'll never fucking know. That's the whole point of undocumentation. There's no documentation. And then obviously they want to use, because I told you guys I went to the DMV here in Florida to register to vote when I was getting my new ID. And they didn't even ask me for my ID to register to vote. Okay, so I'm telling you guys don't think that 15, 20 million people can register to vote in this country and actually sway the elections. You're wrong. Go to your local DMV and see if they're asking you for an ID. And now, if you live in like a sensible state, maybe it's different. But if enough places allow this nonsense to happen, then yeah, you can best believe. Like, the only way this makes sense is if it's deliberate. Like, there's no way that you have an open border and that's like you have any rationale for that other than the fact that you want to destabilize your country and you're doing it on purpose. I don't know. Let's check NASDAQ. Markets are very slow, very, very, very slow today. So slow. Yeah, we're still watching. We'll do the before and afters. If you guys don't want me to go through news, you guys want me to stick to markets, put a one in the chat. If you guys want the full holistic story, markets and news, put a two. If you guys just want markets, put a one. How do you go about news? Because it's overwhelming. You read something positive about NAS, then you see negative signs for NAS on the markets. Well, one good way is literally show up to these streams where I do a sickening amount of research and I come here and try to explain it to you as straightforward as I can, take questions, answer them live. Seems like a pretty good place, right? What? What the fuck? Because if you're asking me how to actually go through news, but at the same time you're telling me that you're overwhelmed by all the information, I would honestly tell you that most people should not be watching the news. Because number one, you have no intention of, you know what I'm saying, of like running for office or doing nothing about it, if we're gonna be real. And all it's gonna do is stress you out and stop you from taking care of your family, finding opportunities in your daily life, improving your financial situation, improving your earning capacity because you're mentally kind of distracted by something somewhere else in the world that a news company is trying to convince you that's your fault or I mean, it's your problem today. All right. There's a riot in England. I'll tell you guys right now. Obviously, I care for the people of the UK. I care for everybody who's going through something genuine is not being represented. I care for people who are being unjustly prosecuted just for their race. Because, like, yeah, you're brown, but you know you've done everything right, and now you're just walking around the UK and they're calling you all types of shit. I feel for those people. I feel for everyone. Okay. With that being said, do I care? And I know a lot of people are going to feel some kind of way about this. I'm a very compassionate and empathetic person, so I feel things more than I should. But then you have to remind yourself we're also adults, right? Are you going to get on a plane, go over there with a piece of legislation that you're going to recommend? Are you going to go and join either side of the protests and make your voice heard? Or are you going to start a page and a campaign to donate to certain people who have been jailed? The answer is no. How much do you really give a fuck? So now with that, every time you see a news event and the news is like, here's this horrible thing happening somewhere in the world. And now here's why it's your problem today. Hopefully you can remember this conversation and realize how much does this even impact my life? The answer is usually no. Because even if there's a riot 10 blocks away, you walk right outside your front door, you ain't seeing nothing. But then the reality is, how much do you actually care about this issue? And if you realize I would not get on a plane, I would not pick up arms for this, I would not go start a Facebook group in the minimum, I would not talk to my friends about this and spread awareness, then shut it out because it's definitely irrelevant. Now, if we're going to talk about market news, what I just told you is stay away from the news. You never see me pull up Yahoo Finance, CNBC, or Bloomberg to look at any market news unless it's like a story that's in real time and they're the only ones with the info. But I won't use that to judge market direction, trade ideas, or anything like that. And so there's data. Like I said, there are dynamics, which are these mechanical functions that are happening everywhere. So you have an inflation dynamic right now. We have this rate cutting cycle dynamic that's happening right now where everyone's playing chicken to see who's going to cut rates first, and Canada and Europe jumped the gun. And so these dynamics are all observable, quantifiable, and measurable. Narratives are stories that can spread like wildfire, and narratives honestly drive more market action than anything else, but it's unpredictable. If everyone's talking about crypto and the narrative is that crypto is going to go to the moon, now you're going to start to see prices pump, pump, pump. Okay. But then who's putting out those narratives? Maybe it's the big money holders that needed some exit liquidity. You understand? So then you could be getting in because of all the narrative. Everybody's talking about your Uber driver, your barber. Everyone's asking you about everyone's asking you about crypto, and then the market crashes. So you believe the narrative, you bought because of the hype, and then you got crushed. Now let's look at dynamics. The dynamic is that every couple of years, the stock market corrects. Every 6 to 8 years, the market corrects about 15% or more. And if you just understand that dynamic, then you know that every time that we're in a retracement cycle, it's just a discounted opportunity for institutions to buy more. That's the difference. You can measure that. You can go back to every single correction on the NASDAQ since its inception and measure them from top to bottom in terms of percentage. And you can check that for yourself. So believe your eyes. Use the data that you can. I know not all numbers are accurate, but you make your own conclusions, damn it. And somebody making 30K a year on some news channel that's reading off a teleprompter that somebody else typed. We don't fucking know who's typing this shit. We don't know who's typing up these stories anymore. And they're all coming from the same places. You just get on there, good little boys and girls, and read off that computer and then destabilize the world. That's their fucking job. And the only way you sleep at night is either you got a big drinking problem or you're a sociopath. But if you're going to get on in front of a TV, or unless you're just dumb as bricks, which a lot of reporters are, respectfully, because if you just don't know that you're a useful idiot, that you're a mouthpiece for all of um, these destructive policies, these destructive suggestions, these destructive question and answers, sort of gotcha moments instead of having real dialogue, if they don't realize that they're a part of the problem, then they're definitely dumb as bricks. I'm not talking about the currency. That's pretty dumb too. Imagine, imagine thinking that's going to work. Anyway. Sorry, guys, I got a little animated here. We should listen to Jim Cramer and do the opposite. The truth is, Jim Cramer knows more about markets than most 99% of reporters on all the other channels because he ran a $400 million hedge fund. All the jokes about Jim Cramer being wrong, same shit I told you guys yesterday, Mike. If you think that politicians and congressmen are there to work for you and there to look out for the people, then you're going to think these guys are bumbling idiots. You're going to think that these guys are completely incapable of tying their shoes. But if you realize that Jim Cramer got caught up for insider trading, that's why he lost his hedge fund, did many, many interviews on YouTube that you should all watch about insider trading back in the day and how the only way to really make money is insider trading back in those days and the game that he played. Then you realize that he's a mouthpiece for a lot of these companies that may say something, cause the stock to do something else, and then those folks benefit off of either the rise or the crash. Now, if you realize that that's his role, then he's a fucking genius, right? So it's about what side of the coin you're looking at. All right, very slow markets. UK riots. Doesn't seem like we're going to get a lot of great news here. Prince Philip OG, very appropriate name, Prince Philip. Um, very appropriate name, especially with what's happening over there. Oh God, monarchy never ceases to amaze me. You're 100% correct. Speaking from the UK, the news is inflated. We should turn away from the TV and focus on market impacting news. Or like, look, if the news is inflated for that political stuff that you're looking at, what do you think they're talking about on the market side? Bro, this is how I found out everything was bullshit when I was like 18 or 17. I'm reading an article about I think it was make about production, like making music. Now, I was a producer for a long time. I make fire beats, probably the best. Go beat battle with anybody on the stream. Just throwing that out there. And then I read an article, right? Oh, let's say you open up a magazine or some shit or a video. And the news, the first 2 minutes, they butcher something that you know a lot about. And they butcher it completely. When you turn the pages to all these other stories, you got to sit there and start assuming that they're probably doing the same shit with these other stories. You just don't know enough about it to have any pushback, so you just accept it. So same thing happens with market news. At least with the political stuff, you're just going to be upset all day. But with the market stuff, you might actually take the wrong advice and lose your money. You know, you understand? So different stakes. I would love to hear a freestyle about the 88-6 strategy. I did not say I freestyle. I said I make beats. All right. You're never going to see my face. You are never going to hear me rap or not none of that. No. Okay, so I really wish I could stay on here all day because this is going to end up hitting. It's going to like push up first, make it seem like it's just going to be a breakaway thing, and then it's going to come crashing all the way down to our entry zone, and then it's going to come down to the second entry zone after it crushes everybody from the first entry, and then the second entry is going to be that one at 18,000 that area. I love how every UK news network is posting about Ukrainian suicide charge into Kursk to stick up for the Democratic Party and prove that they're doing something while their country is on fire. Oh my God. Bro, that is about the most perfect explanation of the Kursk. I won't even call it attack. What do we even call that, bro? Yeah, suicide mission. Wow. The Ukrainian suicide mission into Kursk. They're doing it to stick up for the Democratic Party to prove that they're doing something while their country's on fire. Lord have mercy, bro. God help the Ukrainian people for for falling for this nonsense. God help the Ukrainian people for being convinced to do something this stupid. Because in reality, I feel so horrible for the Ukrainians because Zelensky is a fucking moron. He got convinced to put NATO troops and to basically entertain the idea of Ukraine joining NATO, which they said was a clear no-no. They put troops in certain areas, in the Donbass and associated regions, and Russia retaliated just exactly like they said they would. Who convinced Zelensky to approve even talking publicly about joining NATO? Probably the G7. By G7, I mean the Trudeau, Macron, Biden, Merkel, fucking cesspool. But we're forgetting one big name, Boris Johnson. I remind you guys that Ukraine and Russia both had a peace deal on the table. And Boris Johnson is the one that flew over and told Zelensky not to accept the peace deal. When you're fighting somebody who is 5 times bigger than you, and you are getting destroyed, he just broke your leg, he's about to smash your face. This guy's a giant. And all your friends are right behind you saying, yo, like the big dude is like, all right, I'm done. Like, stay your ass on the ground and I'm gonna walk away. And all your friends are right there, your friends, so-called friends, your G7 buddies are telling you, no, keep fighting. Here, we'll give you some help. Here, we'll throw you this. Here's some brass knuckles. They're just throwing you stuff and watching you get fucking destroyed. Right? Not only you, because men, women, and children are dying. Your girlfriend's getting beat up for no reason. Like your boy is getting beat up, and you're looking over, and all your friends are just like, "Yeah, no, keep going, keep going." Then you get a peace deal. Guy stands on top of you, puts his hand out, and said, "Enough. Enough is enough." You go to raise your hand to go shake his hand, and finally stop letting your friends and your girlfriend and everybody get beat up, and all your friends walk over and smack the other guy's hand out of the way. He says, "Don't take that deal, bro. It's a trap. It's a trap." And they all go back and they sit down with the popcorn and they watch you continue to get your face beat into a pulp. Now, does that sound like fucking democracy? Does that sound like we're sticking up for Putin? Does that sound like we're sticking up to the man? Does that sound like we're defending democracy? Or did we literally lead the entire Ukrainian people to slaughter because the elites wanted to spite Putin for insert thing I'm not supposed to say out loud? Okay? So anybody that y'all see with this Ukraine support bullshit, tell them if you love Ukraine, tell them to fucking surrender because this is only ever going to end one way. We're only ever going to make Russia richer, and they're only ever going to replenish their stockpile of weaponry because they're exhausting their missiles now. And guess what? You make them rich with oil money. Now they have enough money to replenish that entire arsenal. So yeah, we're gonna have a more militaristically advanced Russia after this, a much more financially capable Russia after this, and they just showed their dominance on a world stage where when all the G7 and the billions of dollars and all the American people said don't fucking go there and all this shit happened, uh, they stood their shot and they basically stood up to the West. And besides Afghanistan, this is the biggest L we've had. Okay, so they are mad retarded. I agree. The only people suffering is the common people. The elites are sitting in their mansions, big chillin', making bread from these wars. And a lot of the time, bro, they're not even making bread. They're spending their bread just trying to stay in power, just trying to make sure that they don't siege the castle. Keep keep the peasants fighting amongst themselves because if they wake up for even 5 seconds, they will realize that we're the problem. That's the game from day one. This is funny ass meme. It was like the king was standing up on this balcony. And then he has this like guy and he's panicking. He said, Sir, the people are out here rioting. The people are out here rioting. And there's two groups. There's these guys, they have pitchforks. These groups, they have torches. Just imagine that's a fire. Okay. And the king said to his like the guy who was panicking, he was like, don't worry, all we have to do is convince the pitchfork people. Wait, I forgot what it was. Like, all we have to do is convince the pitchfork people that they hate the torch people or something like that. Let's see. There's a political cartoon. Oh, here it is. Says, "Oh, you don't need to," he said, "Oh, you don't need to fight them. You just need to convince the pitchfork people that the torch people want to take away their pitchforks. You don't need to fight them. You just need to convince the pitchfork people that the torch people want to take away their pitchforks. Okay? You don't need to fight the Republicans. You just got to convince the Democrats that the Republicans want to take away their abortion rights. Then they'll just fight amongst each other and won't realize that we're the problem. Ah, you don't need to fight the protesters. You just need to convince the anti-immigrant protesters that the immigration protesters want to take their jobs. You guys see how this works? And then they just like you said, you just sit up there in your castle, sit up there in your mansions, sit up there in Aspen and in Beverly Hills and all the places that you ain't supposed to be, while men, women, and children have to pay the consequences, which is not good. Now, I think I'm losing a lot of people. Folks probably not too interested in the political stuff. So let's hop over to markets for a quick second before we finish up. All right, gold, very straightforward, and it wouldn't be a live stream if I didn't go back to previous live streams and show you guys what happened. Okay, so when we were analyzing gold, the market had just touched right here. This was at 23.85, correct? Let me zoom in here for you guys. That's the same price. Okay, I had my mouse hovered over it. It says 23.88, but you guys get it. That's the first price. Now, I said that I wanted to see another retest of that same support level in order to go long. And I even drew this out. Oh my, the accuracy is insane. Interesting. I could have sworn I drew the part where I was looking for the second test of that 23.87, and then that final target was going to be 24.30 or 24.32, which is on the way there. So inverted head and shoulders, magnets don't lie. We're on the way there. Um, so yeah, that was pretty straightforward there. There's another thing I saw here, which was the original trade idea. Oh, this is going to be good. Okay, there it is. That's a pretty good image right there. Let's take a look at what happened on NASDAQ. And then we'll put these side by side. Okay. So just to kind of show you guys where we were, this is that little consolidation that's right here. We kind of straighten this out. And the market was sitting at the very top of the range. I said I wanted to see a correction down and then up. I'm going to have to delete all this stuff. Oh, damn, just close that position. We're going to remove all these extra zones real quick. Clean this up. Okay. And remove this as well. So the market was sitting right here. Said move down 17.4 or 17,647.6 and then continuation up, which is exactly what happened. What kind of news would make the market drop down harder? Honestly, nothing. The only thing that would make the markets crash is if we had a positive employment print that was like just a blow away employment print. Because then it shows that the Fed doesn't need to cut. Then they don't have to cut rates, then we good. Like the market's not going to pump if they're not going to cut rates. The whole reason they're pumping now, and they're going to continue to pump in the next 2, 3 weeks, is in anticipation of the rate cuts. Right now, we're in that retracement, which I don't even know why I closed that trade. I was trying to clean up. I wasn't trying to. This is a paper trade, people, just so everybody knows, right? We're just having some fun here because I don't normally short sell. Okay, let me put my markups back on. Is that cool with everybody? You guys saw this on YouTube? That is the strategy that we teach. That's the accuracy that we look at. That to the decimal point is what I'm trying to get you guys to learn for yourself so you can also be successful as a trader. Okay. All right. Happy, safe trading, everybody. Looks like everyone's kind of asleep, and so is the markets. We'll catch you guys later. Happy and safe trading. Make sure to use promo code Chart Addicts to register for the master class. And if you guys have already taken the master class and you're interested in master class 2.0, make sure to reach out to us. Let's get the show on the road. Peace. All right, members, went through a lot of stuff. Sometimes the markets are slow and sometimes the news is redundant, but I just want to give